Hello agents, I'm Rob Warner with Big Valley Mortgage. I haven't done one of my videos in a while, but some new changes have come about and I thought it would be important to put out that information to you now. Anyway, the first thing I want to start with is a new TRID disclosure. As many of you, all of you should know by now that there's a new TRID disclosure that's coming into effect. Well, they just extended the deadline on that till October 3rd of this year, so that deadline has officially been extended, so we have a little reprieve on that. You can talk to me about that if you have any questions. I'm not that scared about it as long as you're doing your homework up front and disclosing your fees properly and not waiting until the last minute to make any loan changes that could affect the APR more than 1/8%. We should be okay. We're just losing that 3-day waiting period for signing loan docs, okay? So that's one change. The next change, which is the one I'm the most happy about, is Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae is now changing their rules regarding a departure property, the rental income used on a departure property. A departure property is if you own a home now and you decide you want to rent it and then you're going to buy another home. Previously, we required 30% equity to be in the departure property before we could use rental income on that property. Now we're going back to the old way. It doesn't have to have any equity in that property. All you have to do is furnish a 1-year lease agreement and a security deposit, proof that you received a security deposit, and you can use the rental income from a departure property, which is huge for people who don't have that 30% equity, but yet they want to move. This is a good thing to get out there to folks that previously might have mentioned they were interested in this, but just couldn't do anything. The other thing is commission employees. Commission employees whose commission is less than 25% of their annual income, overtime or bonus, for a borrower who is qualified, let me just read this, who is qualified using base pay, commission that is less than 25 or annual income, overtime or bonus, unreimbursed employee business expenses are not required to be analyzed or deducted from the borrower's income. This is huge. Also, union dues or any voluntary deductions identified on a borrower's pay stub do not need to be deducted from their income. So this is another Fannie Mae change. This is very good. This is effective immediately. Okay, now FHA. These are some important guidelines. These go into effect September 14th. Okay, here we go. Deferred loan payments, including student loan payments, will need to be included in the debt ratios for the borrowers now. You know, previously on an FHA loan, if you had 1-year deferment, you did not have to count the student loan payment. Now you're going to have to count those payments on any deferred loans against the borrower. Okay? Also, if the borrower is an authorized user on, let's say, their parents' or somebody's credit card, you have to count the payment against them on that credit card unless you can prove that the main holder of that credit card account is making the payments on that account. You'd have to prove that in order not to count that in their debt ratio. Okay, here's another one that's very important. Gaps of employment greater than 6 months will require 6 months on the new job, regardless of what created the gap. Now, this does not include borrowers who are on temporary disability or leave from their job. But if somebody made a job change, was laid off, or any of the above, and then they're going to seek new employment, they're going to have, if that gap was greater than 6 months, they're going to have to be on the job for 6 months. This is for FHA financing. And then the last thing is, FHA clarified for a borrower putting a minimum of 3.5% down. FHA has allowed a borrower to have more than one FHA loan as long as their employer, they were being transferred due to employment. Okay, that was one of the caveats. Now the rule states even if they're being transferred, the property they're buying has to be greater than 100 miles. 100 miles or greater from their current residence. Anything under that cannot be made on an exception basis anymore. So if an employer is transferring a borrower, they could use their FHA a second time, keep the FHA on the old loan, but that property is going to have to be 100 miles away from their current residence. Anyway, these are some things I felt were important to get out to you. The one on the rental income from Fannie Mae on a departure property, to me, is the #1 huge benefit. If you get that word out to your clients, I'm sure you'll find some that are out there that would be willing to now rent their properties out. Anyway, Rob Warner, Big Valley Mortgage, 530-391-1554. If you have any questions, I hope you're all having a tremendous year so far. Take care.